Well, leadership makes it more complicated. What we do is more complicated versus corporate sector. Driving force on
I think you absolutely said it. I mean, we're a volunteer organization. That's who we are. But we're not just a volunteer organization. We're a volunteer organization with 17 different communities who speak more than 3, 4 different languages and have different cultures. So, in order to be able to do this process well, we have to be very market oriented to all these different voices. And what we need to do well is to be able to extract those voices that actually tell us where things meet together, where things sort of coincide. In order to translate the results of this process into something that's practical, we will need both leadership of the executive directors of Federation and organizations that are our partners in order to be able to do it. But then again, it's our lay leadership at the end of the day that expands the circles. And so it needs to be a partnership between lay and professional, just like here, you know, we are in the same room, in order to be able to be very attentive on the one hand, and on the other hand, to be able to translate practically. And I think the key word here is capacity. We have to be very conscious of capacity. It's a partnership where you're spread all over, and so it's not by coincidence that the last little point that said our 3 goals for the strategic planning process is 1, to bring more value and relevancy to partnerships, 10, to educate and to be able to involve much more of the leadership way and professional, and 3, to be able to make sure that we're in line with the capacity of partnership in order to be able to do it in the best way that we can. That answer. Eli, Mike's coming. Mike's running. It's on.
Is it on?
Yeah.
One way to blend the comments with regard to Honda and with regard to what you said is an old quality control procedure, which is to benchmark best practices. Each of us have talked about what we're good at. Katie was emphasizing that our education process with Gil is a shining light, and we know that other things are not so good. I would say that from your point of view, you might be able to get best practices, whatever they may be, from the various partnerships, put them together somehow, and inform the rest of us of what has worked elsewhere.
Absolutely true, and that's part of our tab onto that. I'd like to see, I know at the GA we have maybe an hour session for partnership. So maybe, yeah. Every partnership meeting, representatives meeting in Chicago, let's say, for day seminar, and share or whatever, but share our best practices with each other rather than trying. I'm talking about all the partnerships. Yeah, so once every few years, now in the world, once every few years, and hopefully it's going to happen in May next year, 2014, where we invite all of our partnership communities, lay and professional, to come together and we have sessions on best practices, on different audiences, on, you know, some of the dilemmas, everything. Actually, I put a conference like that together 3 years ago. And that was 3 years ago. Guys, it's been 3 years. It's tough. Yeah, absolutely. Judy, over there.
Speaking of that kind of term, I wish that we had more time to have breakout of what we're doing and how it works for us. How, you know, what program did you do and how did you do it? What did you do when they were there? You know, I mean, we never really get to share what we're doing. I mean, specifically to help each other.
I think one of the things that, what's interesting is, when we've been coming in the last couple of years, we've been involved in strategic planning process, because that's definitely something, I hate to say that we used to do, but I also see us doing, again, as we get beyond this, and we're going into, you know, running our business, so to speak, we get beyond our strategic planning process. A couple of things, and everybody's probably not aware of this, but in March, we are going to fly in Chicago. It's for the executives and the staff to really get together, because when you think about, we have, I think, about 5 of our 14 executives here, to really do exactly what we're talking about, to work on the strategic planning process, to get alignment, to get best practices and all that stuff going on. And one thing, I have a question. My question is, when you were talking a little bit ago about our core competencies, you know, we see some that aren't scored as highly as other things that we want to be a core competency. We want X to not be a 5. We want it to be a 10. Are you saying or suggesting that, you know, when we look at Honda and these other examples, that, hey, they just focused on the core competencies. They picked the 3 of the 5 and went with that. And you know what, for whatever reason, maybe we're not so good at this, even though we want it to be this. This is not necessarily something we can control.
That's right. That, you know, that good thing and the bad thing about doing the strategic planning process is that it floats a lot of things, and then it forces you to make a decision, and the decision is the hard thing to do, because it means that you're either strategically going to say, I'm going to ignore the fact that we need to be very, very focused, or we don't want to be focused for a multitude of reasons, or we're going to be focused, and that hurts, because you have to let go of some of the things that are not within your focus. And letting go of things that are not within your focus is painful. Because they may be projects, not core competencies, okay? To actually focus on core competencies and on specific areas or needs. And that's the role of leadership. Going back to what Rob was saying before, it's a strategic decision, and that's exactly what we need to be doing in order to go into the future. And you can consciously decide not to, and you can consciously decide to do that. That is up to you. My role is to be able to float for you all of these in clear mirrors, so you can make those decisions. You know, and go with your passion, your heart, and your mind. Buzz.
I think a lot of good ideas are really coming out. You know, benchmarking is essential. I'll tell you the truth. Until I got here, I was aware there were other partnerships, but I had no idea what they were all about. There's 47 of them that we learned through that nice yesterday. Now, I know that Indianapolis is doing some really good things that work. We're doing a couple things that work, but we're doing a lot of things that don't work. But there's 47 of these things. There are some people that are doing things that are great. And I think it's the clearinghouse. It shouldn't be once every 3 years you get together somewhere in North America, and you do a lot of banter and this and that, you know, playing all the games and keeping things on boards. But it's translating it and getting it out in real time. So I would like to know, when in Madison, Wisconsin, and another partnership, they're doing something that's great, that really works, it should be pulled out to all 47 partnerships. We'd like to know that. And maybe someone's being done, but we don't know about it, at least in Toledo. And I think that's something that really needs to be done. You have cities that are in partnerships, and some people are doing things right that work, and some people are trying things that don't work. And I think if we could have, ongoing communications, ongoing, all the time, things that, the advice right, and we need to start benchmarking. Because there's always room, if your benchmark is here, why isn't it there? And then when it's there, what we do to make that even better and better. That's an ongoing, continuing, constant communications and not just a separate.
So, I think it's important, Buzz, what you're saying, and I want to, respond to it on a few levels. You have staff here in Israel who are involved with all the other staff in Israel, who are able to bring a lot of that knowledge to you, through just the channels of the fact that Judy's been around as a director for the years, and the staff is very, very experienced. They meet with other staff council here in Israel. It's easy. It's much harder to get your communities in North America together, not even to mention those Canada, South Africa, and the other European ones. It's not doable on more than one step. But the staff here in Israel, that's exactly part of their role. And when you say, we're doing a team mission or a young adults mission, and we are not trying to go about it, they approach us and they say, well, they're doing it in ABCD and other partnerships, and they figure it out. So they have the knowledge and they have the will. Also, raise your hands if you're getting the partnership e-newsletter that Andrea writes, I think every 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. Wait, no, I'm talking about Andrea, because that's what does. Andrea Bell is director of the partnership unit. There's an e-newsletter, and I'm going to ask Judy and the staff to include your names. She's happy to circulate it, and it focuses each time on something else. So it gives you that bird's eye perspective, okay, all the time, of partnerships, of different aspects of partnership. What's going on in the world of partnerships with an S, okay? It was Eli's Peoples, now it's an S, okay?
First of all, I guess what is the best kept secret in the world is the partnership website. Our partnership website is part of the 46 partnerships website. All of the partnerships. Can you pick it up? Is it possible? I want the website of the Jewish Agency Partnership page. Now, a lot of the partnerships, a lot of them, have very active websites. Ours is probably one of the more active websites, but the partnerships also have Facebook pages, whereas we do, and ours is very active. We have over 2,000 people who are following us, which is incredible. There's a lot of information out there. Eshel Fram is here. Next, on the 15th of February, we meet our the partnership directors under Eshel's direction. We meet once a month here in the north, and every month we share. We talk about things that are going on, and we hear from others. A couple of times a year, we meet all of the partnership directors in the country. So there is a sharing of knowledge. I can tell you that Heidi and I 2 weeks ago presented our partnership and what we do and how we operate to the Pittsburgh Carmel Misgap Partnership. They were our guests for the day, and we told them what we do because they wanted to learn from us. So sharing of knowledge happens. We can always do more. That's it.
Thanks very much. So, Judy, would you be able to send the address along with the other to everybody as a summary? And the newsletter, we can get everybody's email address who's interested. It would be no-brainer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we do not absolutely have time for a break, but I will ask you, and I beg your pardon as I'm saying that, Judy, what time do you have to start the next session? 11. So that means that we will end in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to ask you to very, very, very quickly and to be really well behaved about this. I lost the word that I wanted to say. I know it's really difficult to get up and to sit down right away, but I'm going to ask you to get up, take that one Post-it, put it on the one core competence that you think is the chorus, and there's no word like that, that we do the best. That we do the best at, but it is really core, okay? And come back and sit down. Thank you.
זה נראה שזה עובד.
Rolling.
Are we able to sit down very, very quickly? Thank you for every person who is sitting down. I know it's hard. I know it would be hard for me. But I appreciate every person that is sitting down. I want to say thank you to every person who is sitting down. You were so well disciplined. This partnership receives a 10, as it should. Okay, are we ready to continue? Israel Group A.
Just as we're sitting down, we'll continue working. I just want to very briefly, we have a guest to join us, a very special guest. Baruch Halevi, he is around, I just want to say that. Baruch Halevi, he is part of our family. Baruch Halevi is Jan Goldstein's son. And so we've invited him for the day. He made Aliyah with his family a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago. He came with his wife and 4 children. They are living in Ashar, which is a small community in the Midgard here in the Galilee. He does a very interesting business. You could talk to him about that at lunch. And so welcome, Baruch. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Thank you. 12 minutes or a little bit before we actually give you a break and you can go on to the next session. So I want to do something that's very important and we'll have to look this up to this. I want to talk about your needs as a community, because I think the conversation we just had is exactly what it is, your needs and your communities. And you remember yesterday, okay, that when we looked at the United States community, when we were in the same room as Toledo, there were 6 needs that rose to the top. There were the most pressing needs that they said to us, we need partnership. If partnership can help us on these, that would be terrific. That would bring value. And the Israeli communities also floated 5 very central needs, and they said to us, if you can help us with these, that would be absolutely wonderful. That would bring value to our communities. And I have just taken the top 6 and I'm not manipulated anything. These are the top 6. Both in the United States and Budapest is sort of hidden in there. And the Western Galilee is in it. And I want you to spend a minute to read through these, because they're very interesting together. So let's raise more dollars, engage in millennials for community and federation, varied options to educate, engage, and inspire Jewishly, great bridges to the non-Jewish groups and organizations, break down silos in the community, engage more people with Israel, and then strengthen Jewish identity, expand openness and acceptance of diversity that includes coexistence, a sense of belonging to community and to Israel, make involvement and action and responsibility within the community, which will create bridges among different people and groups within a community and develop young leadership in these early ages. And I want to ask you, since these were floated separately, what is common between the needs here and now, in your perception? And we do need the mic. Thank you, Dave.
So actually, and sharing something specific to the top 2 needs on the domestic side. And that's a lot of how we got so many adults to partnership meetings. It's because I asked them directly. I didn't send a mailer, well, we did, it didn't work. I didn't send an email, it didn't work. I sat down and over dinner, I asked 2 people if they wanted to come. Their husband showed up and 2 people told their husband they were going to Israel. And it was over dinner. That was because my community has developed a tool for all of our community leaders on the board. What we have done in Youngstown is created, with the help of African Times Unlimited, with the help of the Times Today, way to make conferences and professional development opportunities affordable to everyone in the community. And I mean everyone. For example, choose to come to Israel on this partnership conference. You as an individual are responsible for 1/3 of your entire trip because it's leadership development. It is not a mission. The Federation, Youngstown, has also allocated funds to pay for 1/3 of your entire trip, and then the Thomas's Endowment will invest 1/3 of your entire trip. If we added that on to the $1,000 subsidy that was available through partnership, my goodness, it cost for net, for example, $400 to come to Israel. That's it. And it didn't cost her, it really cost her $800 without the subsidy, and the hotels were free of flight plus registration, and the $1,000 off of that, and it was unbelievable. And it only happened because we asked face to face. We keep talking about email and text messages and phone calls, and I may be off base, at least I know Youngstown. If I ask, not me, but if someone asks someone face to face to do something, and email doesn't cut it anymore, at least not for what I believe to be the younger generation. And we define younger as 15 under 20. So not it's not a millennial thing, it's just a communication thing. If you don't have to use an iPhone and on Facebook regularly, email means nothing to you anymore. about Thomas's, we hear a lot about it, but as the professionals in our communities, we focus so much on donor cultivation and donor development. And I do want to say that the idea is that we have a professional in our community recognize that there was someone with a good pure heart or a Thomas's who wanted to give back. And we had no idea what the partnership was. And we never told him what the partnership was. We worked and worked and ready, cultivated him to realize that there was something good that he should allocate his dollars for professional influences to then direct his dollars for the common good. And as professionals, we then help the community learn where to allocate the funds. And so it's really finding that donor who's just pure heart, they don't even have partnership at all. They just need to trust in what we're doing. And at least for 50 and under my community, we just gotta pass. You can't play a game, you just gotta pass.
Thank you, Sarah. So the common need is young leadership, right?
Yeah, and dollars.
And dollars. Okay. So, yeah, it's where dollars actually allow you to get young leaders and the other way around, okay?
But you need to cultivate the people, not for the idea, the whole.
Right. Right, okay. And then you have to educate. Microphones, because we just have time for a few, here we go. And some other people. And if you want to also look at the charts and tell us where you feel the need, okay, the core need itself is common between Israel and between North America. That would be very, very important for us to focus on. Katie.
Okay, Sarah, God bless you. Because asking a face-to-face discussion transcends all generations. Okay? It's universal. I don't care if you're 88 or if you're whatever. It's and, you know, sit down and talk to each other face to face. The other thing that I absolutely believe with all my heart, we all need more money, all of us. And this, I have to say this for the American side, because I've never consumed for the Israeli side. Want to raise more money? First, we have to raise Jews. And if we raise Jews, the money will come. I promise.
Thank you, Katie. Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
I would say the commonality, the 50 pretty very options of education to inspire Jewish on that side of the station to the identity of connected. But I think that you just said what I was going to also say, the general non-Jewish groups and organizations really function connections over there, the expanded openness and acceptance of diversity, including coexistence.
Right on. Right on.
But it's still the same.
I completely agree. And there's lots that we can do in that. We have 3 or 4, I believe, one more comment, 2 more comments. You and Marnie?
As odd as it sounds, on the U.S. side, engage more people with Israel, kind of fits with the enhanced sense of belonging to the community and the country.
Once again, start with me at the beginning.
On the U.S. side, engage more people with Israel, so
Right.
has an enhanced sense of belonging to the community and the country on the Israeli side.
Yeah, I think absolutely that would work, and that, yeah, I think it's a different side of that coin, different side of that mirror, yes. With me, you're welcome to get a copy of this chart. And I'm glad, that it's doing what it is. And area R is Jewish identity. And it is involving it. I'm just looking at it, I'm just trying to, belonging, there it is, belonging to the community of Jizya. Comment, because I have to be very respectful of the next speaker.
I believe that breaking down community silos belongs with expanding openness and creating bridges. So that we're reaching out to communities inside.
Yes. Completely so. So I think I did a little exercise, which I'm not able to share with you right now, is I drew all these arrows just very intuitively with regard to the two sides of the charts. And there are numerous ways in which these could be connected. And I think one fascinating idea that came up from our management meeting was to look at each program and to see what arrows connect on both sides of these charts. Have a program that responds to real needs on both sides of the ocean, then you know you're acting within something that brings value to your clients on both these sides. So with this, I conclude. Is that what you're saying? I am forever into Youngstown, you mean? Forever in Youngstown. So thank you, everybody.
Okay. Before we take a really quick break, oh my gosh, this process from beginning from Global a few years ago, all the way on, and the computer line has been amazing, and yoga has been so phenomenal. Very quick break, right back in. Where you going? Our guest is here.
Eli, I'm what? It's live broadcasting. To anyone who's watching, there's probably no one. It's also saved on the whole thing. It's recording now. אני אכתבו בכלל. רוצה להתקשר אליה? רוצה להתקשר אליה? כן, אנחנו רוצים שהיא... מתי את בא לישראל הפעם? מתי את בא לישראל הפעם? מתי פעם תגיע הפעם? תגיד שאלה. זה מקום טוב. כן. אם לא, אני אקח. נרשמה צילה היינר סוויט מלאודר, נרשמה לסמינר. לא יודע אם אמרו לה, אבל דיברנו על זה שהם לא נרשמו, אז הם נרשמו. זה בסדר. יש מקום? 12 אנשים, מעולה. היא רוצה שנעשה שיחה.
So let's get back to our spots.
כמעט בזמן.
Did you guys notice how Nova kind of does the romper room version of back to your seats? I'm so proud. Graham, who's here to see. I'm proud of Jackie sitting down. I'm so proud of Marty who's touching her seat. And Tanya is so close to her seat. And Karen has found her seat. Sammy is so lonely here at the Buffalo and Indianapolis. Sammy's like, where are all my friends? Table rock. So where's Buffalo? Buffalo is missing from their team. Oh my goodness. Buffalo's found a new body.
Ronnie at the meet was also missing from the team. Ronnie at the meet.
My first federation board meeting, I was sitting there and they were talking about the booth. They're saying that they're waiting for the Mashiach. I thought they said Mashiach. And I'm like, we're never going to get it. Okay, I'm going to turn the tables, turn the microphone. I'm going to try to co-chair my husband. And
So, this is the part of the steering committee where we go down to have some fun and hear some interesting story, about something that happened 40 years ago. And it's on the side, very iconic in the recent history of our country. Maybe not really about that. Like with the history of the lifetime, I have to admit, it's not only on a personal basis, but it's also on a family basis. We are brother-in-laws, happen to marry two sisters. So, but also I have to admit that I was shortly before we were married to two sisters because we served together in the same unit. We knew each other from the age of 18. So it's my honor to give you Mike and Shlomi to tell you a fascinating story about things that happened.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I can ask you to tell the story of the Gatorade. So let's try to go back 40 years ago. Started in the summer where the state of Israel was on its knees, as the way you see the cartoon. This was on the 3rd of July, which was the Saturday. This was our feeling and mood here, following the successful raid in Tebet. If you just try to Google and look for the most during the commemorating history, the Tebet raid plays a very nice role. In some places, I even found it second after the story of the Trojan horse mythology. And if that one is only a story, ours is the real one. In order for you to believe that once I was young, this is a photo taken when I landed back at home in Israel. I'm below the red arrow. The photo was taken in the Israeli Air Base. We are sitting on the famous Mercedes. And we look pretty good because we had to fly 8 hours one direction, and to fighting.
organizing and withdrawing in 8 hours back again, so we're in pretty good shape. If I'm trying to, in a nutshell, to describe what's unique about this operation, to my opinion, is two things. Firstly, I believe that the state of Israel managed to do the impossible. And secondly, it's a unique case where the good guys beat the bad guys. Normally it doesn't happen this way. Of myself, and then I'll tell you a little bit background of that period. I'll tell you a little bit the story of the operation in general, and I'll try to tell my own story, and in the end I'll leave some room for questions. But if along the presentation you feel like asking something, please raise, interrupt me in the middle, and don't hesitate to ask. So that's me as a young sergeant. I completed my service at the Israeli, it's called Sayeret Matkal, which is an allied unit of the Israeli Special Operation Forces, like the US Delta Forces and American SAS. I started as a troop, and my last position was Lieutenant Colonel retired battalion commander. I was born to Holocaust survivors, like both parents, still alive, across the 90s. And this was my major drive to go and be a combat troop in the IDF. Married, got 3 kids. My wife is here. She made her service at Brigade 1, the toughest infantry brigade in Israel. And my 3 boys are also combat troops. The same one, my brother-in-law in Ilana, who made service. Later on, following my service, I graduated engineering, went into the high-tech sector. Years. And even recently, I'm now founding a new startup, which is called the Photonic Vision. We are dealing with the 3D sensing for autonomous vehicles. I'm in the middle of a roadshow, but Michael told me that I must stop everything and come here. He put all his weight on my shoulders. I tell the story of the once a year, no more. I don't like talking about it too much. It's a Pandora box, opening friends who lost along the way. So for me, it's not fun, but I do it. And it's the second time in my life that I do it in English. But I have follow me Instagram, please improve my English. Just to give you an idea of what hostage taking is, or this is my best friend named Itamar Ben David. He got killed. We had a battle with terrorists. They raided Tel Aviv in 75, winter 1975. They took hostages in a hotel near the beach. In the morning time, we had to enter the hotel. Michael was being there as well. And we had a battle, we lost him, we lost another colonel, I was shot. So what I'm trying to say that hostage taking and all these combat and raids of the movies that most of us watch, it's completely different. You have a nice cabin to stay in with good air conditioning, you had a good night's sleep before. The food is not bad, normally 2-3 star Michelin chef cook for you. And the director will run several shots or several scenes or actions until he's happy with the take. When you go for a real one, you have only one take, and at the end, either you are dead or alive. And this mission, for example, we will call towards the end of the week, we're already exhausted, Thursday midnight, we just want to come to the base, eat something, get a sleep, and then you are being informed the terrorists landed in Tel Aviv beach and they took hostages. Normally they would ask to either release other terrorists or they have other requirements. And there is a lot of unknowns for you. You don't know anything about it. You are just there, you are being caught in the middle of something, no intelligence, no information, and pretty soon you find yourself in a battle. It's quite frightening because if you go for ordinary fighting, there is enemy in a certain place or certain building, First, you try to demolish the building from outside. You launch mortars, rockets, fire, whatever you could do. Then when you try to assault or enter the building, you use your fire and you try to get in, and whoever you see, you shoot it and try to wound or kill. Taking event is a completely different story. There are innocent people inside. So you cannot do anything from outside. When you enter such a building, you cannot shoot. And when you see someone first, you have to make sure that it's an enemy and not a friend. Practically speaking, you give a chance to the other side to kill you, and if he fails, if he shot you and he fails, then you have a second chance to hit him. Because there are terrorists normally are among crowds. Think about ourselves. If we are sitting here, and one or two guys here are terrorists, sorry for the example, and they have machine guns with them, I will go into this room. In a second, I have to decide whom should they shoot and whom not. For these guys, it's very simple. They shoot all over. They shoot the hostages, they shoot the troops. Normally, they have booby traps. They switch it on, and this was our experience. In this case, for example, when we went in, they blew part of the building on top of us. And they start shooting all over. We have similar experience in a school in the northern part of Israel, not far from here, in the town of Ma'alot. It was a young group. They came early morning, Palestinian terrorists crossed the border from Lebanon, took more than 100 kids as hostages. And we didn't do our job successfully and regretfully. We tried our best. We found ourselves in a class which is quarter the size of this one, with 20 kids got killed and dozens wounded. We had also troops, some of them wounded. So it's not like a movie. I think it's the, if I could say, it's the ugliest fighting for most frightening way of fighting for any troops. Hostage-taking event. Those years, the government of Israel was not only planning to fight terror and not give up for terror, it was doing so in practice, so it would never pay back in any hostage-taking event. So this was the government policy. But we, all of us as young troops, we found ourselves again and again being those who should execute, deliver the government policy, and we were called many times. In certain times, it was just a false alarm. In many cases, it was a real combat. So it was very, very bitter period, very bitter years for us. This is just a chart, Hebrew, but beside of hostage-taking events that took place in Israel, those years, the terror, Palestinian terrorists also developed nicely, as you may say, hijacks. For purpose, this is the Middle East. Just see how many. And this takes us to the end of July, where an Air France flight, airport, flew to Paris. It landed in Greece, Athens, to collect more passengers, and then it took off again on its way to Paris. Immediately after taking off from Athens airport, 4 terrorists hijacked the airplane, man and a woman. They were coming from a German terrorist organization that collaborated with Palestinians and 2 other Palestinians. They managed to get on board in Athens. Security arrangements there were lousy. They had hand grenades, pistols, and they hijacked the airplane. And all of a sudden, 250 passengers that were on their way to Paris, holiday, families, kids, men and women, found themselves helpless. They directed the airplane into Libya. At the time, their friend Mr. Gaddafi, and they refueled and flew all the way to Uganda in Entebbe Airport, middle of Africa, middle of nowhere. The reason for them to select such a remote place was that they felt that over there they are completely secure because no one could get there. That's a truth. It was middle of Africa, middle of nowhere, no intelligence from there, no one could get there. It's beyond the range of operation. They asked to release 53 other terrorists or freedom fighters in their words. And they wanted also $5 million cash. So the whole event started as a French event because it's a French airliner. The terrorists came on board in Greece, so it should be a Greece issue. And it landed in Uganda, where you would expect to take control of this event. I think it was Sunday or Monday or so. And during the first days, nothing happened because everything was starting to get organized and people started just to realize what's going on. And it further developed. And because of nothing happening, then the terrorists put an ultimatum. And then around Wednesday or Thursday, they called all the hostages, they are going to split between them. At the moment, there were about 250 men and women. They were held in the old terminal in Entebbe, in the departure hall. It was a terminal which was abandoned because there is a newer terminal. And they were held in a room which is about half size of this room, 250 people. Some of them had mattresses, some of them had to sleep on the floor. Within the room, there were a few terrorists. In total, there were about 10 terrorists. They were watching and guarding the hostages. Food was an issue, so they wanted to brought them some bananas here and there and rice. Mental situation was not simple, and it's not a unified team as well, so many people behave differently. And you have kids that you have to explain them what's going on. Some of the terrorists were brutal. One day, second day, then Idi Amin, the president of Uganda, came in and told many stories to the hostages. They asked him to support them because he's supposed to represent the country, but took some time to understand that in fact the Ugandans are collaborating with the terrorists. And then around Wednesday, the terrorists opened the door, or they broke one door on the side. They sent to the message, and they started the reading name of people that should go through that opening to the other hall. All the people got terrified because they felt that now they are going to be executed, and they even split families. It took some time for the hostages to realize that what the terrorists were doing, they just separated between the Israelis and the Jews, which were transferred to the nearby hall, a smaller one. And the rest of the people which were non-Jews were left in the main hall. And then they released those non-Jews guys. It's like only Israelis and Jews who were left over there as hostages, 100 of them, or more than 100. Israel, there was a tremendous pressure because the government could do nothing, and the families protest the government. Prime Minister was revealed, tremendous pressure. And the terrorists gave an ultimatum that will elapse on the night between Saturday and Sunday. And the hostages who were there feeling helpless started to have diarrhea and other problems because even in a small half room outside of this 100 people all week, it's not easy. Saturday night, the people went to sleep. Around 11, they heard shootings outside the building. And about us hearing the shooting outside. They felt that, okay, that's it. The terrorists started to execute the ultimatum and started killing the hostages. People tried to make shelter. There wasn't too many places to make shelter. Some of them tried to put the kids on the mattresses. And then if I describe it in the words of the hostages, they said that then few angels came into the hall in Hebrew. Now on the floor, we are Israeli troops, we came to take you home. 15 minutes later, they were taken outside and loaded into a Hercules airplane of the Israeli Air Force. 5 minutes later, it was taxiing to the runway and taken off to Israel. The story of the hostages. Of course, they could play much better than me. It took me 20 or 30 years just to hear the hostages story. So This is the story from the eyes of the hostages that were taken, and we are on Saturday night. Now, with your permission, I'll reverse it, tell you how it looked from our side. Now, obviously, what I'm telling you now, at the time I didn't know, or I knew there was nothing about it, because everything was happening. Firstly, regarding this mission, why was it an impossible mission? In general, our experience, as I told you, was not so good, because hostage taking, there is more chances to surprise the terrorists. You want to live, they want to die. Very difficult to surprise. Israel, we hardly managed to make it with a very little crisis. So obviously, if it's somewhere in the middle of Africa, you have no intelligence, you don't know what's going on. Normally, when it happens in Israel, we take over around the house, we put snipers, we location, we collect information, we know that they are there. But here, if you fly into the middle of Africa and have no intelligence, then you better. And they already clear all the hostages to the nearby town or put them to another country. The movie interests, part of the information was that they put a lot of explosives among the hostages, so all together, they just do with the hostages, with ourselves. Operation of the Uganda's troops. It's another problem. The feeling was that the only problem is the terrorists. So some guys came with the right idea. You could see here, it's Lake Victoria. So one of the guys brought an idea, let's fly over Lake Victoria, we should parachute into the lake, inflate rubber boats, take a route right to the shore of the lake. And the airport is just next to the lake. So we could get on shore, hit the terrorists, and then shake hands and hug with the Ugandan troops, and airplanes will come and take their approximate death. But then it became evident that the Ugandans are not only neutral, they collaborate with the terrorists and they protect them. So we were lucky that this operational concept was not selected. I will have to tell you later on, in Lake Victoria, there are plenty of alligators. We didn't know at the time. One more problem why it's impossible, range. Even if you take the Israeli Hercules at the time, and you fully load it with fuel, it will be sufficient for 1 day only. So how do you come back? Not only this, suppose you have wounded people. So suppose you manage to get them, you manage to surprise them, and you have wounded people, and how do you treat them? In Israel, we have hospitals in the middle of Africa. So whichever you look into it, it looks just impossible. And I think the terrorists believe it's impossible, and we believe it's an impossible mission. Now, you would expect that, okay, if something like that happens, then Prime Minister again pick the phone and call his Secretary Minister of Defense, Shimon Peres. Hey, Shimon, let's do some planning. Let's pick the phone and call Chief of Staff Montagu. Let's do some operational planning. But it doesn't work that way. And the initiative for this operation started from almost from the bottom, young officers, majors, captains, lieutenant colonels. They feel that there is something which is impossible. So then they started thinking, how could it be done? And they started to look for solutions. And these guys of this initiative, in the end of the day, managed to build an operational scenario which was brought up to the decision makers. So that's an example for the operation that in the end of the day was planned. If it's a surprise, it's an issue, so the guys thought, okay, so we have to be there at night time. And perhaps what we should do, we should send there only one airplane which will land first. And if it's night time and no one pay attention and small group of troops will go out, they will have to take over the terminal. One-way fuel, okay, we should fly one way, but we should roll fuel from the airfield itself in order to come back to Israel. Later on, it became evident that the Ugandans participate or collaborate with the terrorists
Then the Israeli Air Force commander, Benny Peretz, he told chief of staff, don't worry, I'll bring you enough troops over there, so Israel troops will take over the entire airfield. And in the end of the day, that's what we did. We had the first assault team. I participated in. We were 33 troops. And our job was to surprise them. But all in all, 10 minutes later, some 250 troops arrived together and we took over the entire airfield. And that way, solutions were started to be found for every problem. So, all in all, the mission was, I'm just telling you in outline, the 4 Herculeses, the Israeli Herculeses, the squadron, will fly from Israel, 2 of them Entebbe, 3 of them will circle around Lake Victoria, 1 of them will land at night time. There was another problem because at that time there was no night vision equipment. The airfield might be dark. So one of the designers doing it, one of the guys, a colonel who was doing the training, identified that there is another flight which is commercial flight, supposed to take off from Entebbe somewhere in Europe. Normally it's quite common that after the airplane is taking off from the commercial airport, the lights are switched on for more than half an hour in case there is a need for emergency landing and the airplane took off with come there. So there was a very specific time slot when it was expected to be lighted with the lights on. So this was the timing which around this timing, midnight of Saturday, the whole operation was built. Some 15 minutes or 20 minutes window of opportunities. Remember, Israel is 8 hours away. We are the first airplane to land. We have to know what we're doing, and I'll explain. And later on, the other 3 will land. We should send over the hostages. Later on, we should evacuate. There was another Israeli airplane, commercial one, which was modified into a hospital. And this was supposed to fly into the nearby Kenya state. So if people are wounded, at least we could take the 1 hour flight and taking care of them. The key issue was a surprise, because if the terrorists know about our plans, no chances for us to make it. And when the issue was brought to the government for approval, people asked Chief of Staff, the ministers, what are the chances to succeed? He told them the key issue is surprise. I'm sure that these days the ministers already start sending information to their journalists outside the government, because the government leaks. Those days, people were responsible, different type of people. So it was all kept secret, and we managed to achieve the surprise. My part. I was young sergeant at the end of my service, 3 years of service, experienced a lot. Very happy that I was alive, managed to make it 3 years. I was shot the year before the event in Tel Aviv, as I told you. And it's quite common in Israel that the last month of your service, you get it like a holiday or you stay home. So that week, Sunday, Monday, we already had some secret operation in Egypt. Tuesday, we went home. Friday morning, before sunrise, I get a telephone at home at my parents' house, come back to the base. I didn't feel like what to do it. So I stayed 1 or 2 more hours at home, and then I drove to our base. Of course, I heard about the hijack of this Air France, but I told myself, it's in the middle of Africa. This time, it's not us, no chance. So I didn't know what they want. I'm coming back to the base. I see a lot of people all around, a lot of army cars, and I don't suspect anything. I go to the parking, I park, and then a friend of our squad is coming and telling me, We are flying to Entebbe. We are the assault team that is going to hit the hostages for our squad. As it tells me like that, I don't know, you know the expression, your feet start to feel like lead and you have butterflies in your stomach, because I knew exactly what does it mean. Now our squad was the most senior in the unit. Maybe the unit commander felt that it doesn't need us because we are already finished with service. So, he gave our squad the most respected job, or whatever you call it, to handle the hostages home, which is the most frightening and dangerous part. Okay, but this was the initial shock. Then I told myself, come on, the government will never happen. And then I relaxed. We had a briefing by Yoni Netanyahu, who was the unit commander, and we said about 60 of us in the briefing room, and he presented us this crazy plan. Believe me, what I show you now is 10 times more information than we had at the time. We did not have even a map of Uganda. We didn't know where is it. One of the guys drove to the nearby town, went to a stationery shop, and he bought a book, map books, for teenagers from school, and he brought it back and we opened it quickly to see where Uganda is. Seriously. But we had 24 hours because this was Friday morning. We reported Saturday morning we are going on the mission. Because remember, it's 8 hours flight, so you have to leave Saturday morning in order to be there Saturday towards midnight. So, although we did not believe that it's going to happen, we had to complete all the preparations in 24 hours for such a complicated mission. It's completely nuts. Now, obviously, you cannot build your troops or forces in 24 hours, no chance. But if you educate them when they are teenagers in school, and if you train them as young troops, and you practice and you train and again and again and again, then when you come to such operation, you have a highly experienced team, and then you only have to practice the very specific new items which are on a specific mission. In this case, for example, it was to fly one of commercial vehicles in the Hercules that we never experienced, because in order to surprise, the concept was that we should be dressed like Ugandans. Now, as I told you, in order to surprise, only one airplane could land over there. And then, within one airplane, only 3 vehicles could get in. So, 3. And someone brought a brilliant idea how let's put in the front Mercedes, commercial Mercedes. So maybe when we get close to the terminal, maybe they will not suspect us. They will feel that it's a Ugandan VIP. And 2 other Land Rovers, and we all got uniforms of Ugandan troops. But because these are only 3 vehicles, very few guys could get on board. In the end of the day, we've been 350 only. They walk always and around 100 Ugandan troops. Normally it's the other way around. The ratio is 3-to-1. If you're going to attack, you try to bring 3 times troops more than the guys who are trying to be defense. And here it was 9 times the other way. I mean, we have been only 1/3 out of those guys. So surprise was an issue, and obviously capability. We think we are better and more trained than those guys. And then the first airplane that takes us is supposed to land over there. As I told you, the runway was expected to be lights on, but Prime Minister asked Chief of Staff, and Chief of Staff asked the squadron leader, okay, but suppose you get there and the lights are off. What do you do? Remember, fuel one way only. Fuel come back. We should crash. So Chief of Staff decided on Friday night to take the squadron leader into a trial, and they flew to an airfield in the south part of Israel, and switched off the lights of that airfield, the runway, and the Hercules started to land. When they were maybe 10 meters above ground, the squadron leader, which was flying the Hercules, noted that he is going to land on the fence of the base, not on the runway. He does so at night time, and he made a mistake by his judgment. So he almost crashed, and in the last minute, he just managed to pull aside and land properly and safely on the runway. And the Chief of Staff was very impressed. But the Air Force Commander, Benny Pellet, asked the squadron leader, what's going on? What will you do tomorrow night? It's over there, almost here, we got killed, the Chief of Staff, Air Force Commander, squadron leader, what will be tomorrow if you have within your more troops? But the squadron leader told him, don't worry, tomorrow night it will be easier. Sorry for the exception, he had balls, but also he felt that because it's going to be near the lake shore, he felt it would be easier for him to identify. And I'm just telling you this story because about this operation, many events of part, there were people who took decisions, and these decisions enable the operation to get into reality. That's the way we make an impossible mission. People take responsibility, and people take some thought and initiatives. Anyway, so you could see here, we were supposed to land on this runway, hopefully lights on, stop over there, then unload and drive into the old terminal, which is that area. I told you the problem that there are 100 Ugandan troops and 10 terrorists, and we didn't know exactly if the hostages will be in the departure hall or the arrival hall. So we were divided into small groups of 3 or 4 guys, and each group had a specific mission. And that way, we could handle the huge terminal and also the significant number of terrorists. Just to give you an impression, that's the photograph of the terminal, and we were supposed to drive and park the cars here, and then just rush and stop the building from all over in parallel. About 7 teams, each team, around 4 people. And everything should happen in parallel because no time to wait. And obviously the goal is to get quickly as possible to the terrorists and kill them before they develop explosives or start killing the hostages or killing us. We also knew that some 100 Ugandan troops were supposed to be around. That's what we knew as troops. So I was afraid that it would be like the Wild West, where the Indians shoot you in your back, shoot you from tail, shoot you from the front. Our information was also that here on the second floor, some 80 Ugandan troops are sleeping at night time. So, for example, one team, they had a mission to rush up before we even clear this custom hall there and hit those 80 Ugandans. They were only 3, okay? One team of 4 will go here into the hostages home, another one will go here, the third one here, over there, it's a missing part, but that's the photograph we got at the time. The place of the terrorists is to take risk. We give you some expression, huge building, very few people have to take it over, maybe the size of this complex. Ultimately, you just get lost in it, especially the speaker, so we would shout loudly to the hostages, lie on the floor, and then whoever sings out, we know it's supposed to be a terrorist. It's easier for us to distinguish and keep the terrorists. What else? The Mercedes. Friday night, we were waiting for the Chief of Staff to come and check us, and he was making his flight with the Air Force guys. And then came back, and we had a lot of work to do. We were waiting for it. Like the Mercedes, for example, it's not an army Mercedes. Some guy got it from an Arab guy in East Jerusalem. The tires will think like this. Now, if you put in 9 troops, 10 troops, it doesn't work. So someone else go to Jaffa and knock on the door because it's Friday night, all the shops are closed. You knock on the door, woke up someone and told him, look, you must do me a favor, give me 5 new brand tires from Mercedes. How will you pay? He gave him a note. I'll pay you many crazy stories like that. And then in the middle of the night, someone said, hey, but we saw on the television, TV, film where Idi Amin ride a black Mercedes. So the guys took some black spray and painted it. Yeah. Anyway, this is, for example, a photograph which was taken by the Israeli Mossad agent. He took a race on Friday morning or so. He was in Kenya, nearby Kenya, which is 1 hour flight from there. He rented a small airplane, flew to the airfield, circulated around, which was not simple, used the camera in one hand, riding the airplane in the other one, and took this photo. And this type of intelligence is the intelligence we had at the time. Now you could see a lot, but we got it only when we took almost started going the Hercules. It was the size of a postcard. Something, and only officers got it. So this is another example, and it's quite confusing, especially at night when you get there. This is the hostages hall. You could see these two white, I don't know, shelters, or whatever you call it, with some of the marking. This is the control tower. We were supposed to come from the left, but here, then strike the entire building. It's quite confusing, the whole information, and especially for troops that did not sleep for 24 hours or so. Okay, this is a photograph of the Hercules. This is a photograph of our squad, which was taken, I don't know, a few weeks before the operation. It's a gym training class. Myself, our commander, and the rest of the guys. So anyway, as I told you, Friday night, Chief of Staff came in, he looked at us, we conducted what we call a model. Model is that you stick some iron bars in the ground, you put some pieces of cloth, so you have a feeling for the size, you drive, you jump, you shout fire, 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 and you win. He made a nice comment. The only comment he said, we're too crowded. Because, as I told you, on one hand, in order to surprise, we had only 3 Lakers. On the other hand, because there have been so many, we wanted to do as many troops as we can on our vehicles. But we were sitting there like today, you want to be ice legs outside. I don't know what's your preference. Economy, business class, first class. But within the airplane, there were no seats at all. And at the center, we just hide the vehicles so they don't move inside. Mercedes at the far end, ready to go down. The two other Land Rovers, it's a four-wheel car behind. This was at the center. On both sides of the cars, there had been some 50 paratrooper brigade troops, because their role was to go and take over later on the airfield, or the fuel pumps, or the new control tower. And for us, there was no one left. So we had to sit on the vehicles. And as I told you, Chief of Staff already told us that we are too crowded, so we took off a few troops. So we were sitting there like sardines, with our weapons and everything, and we started like that. And obviously, whenever the airplane is jumping, you jump, and because of the springs of the vehicle, you can sometimes hit the top. Not only no seats in the airplanes, no toilets. So if you have to, I don't know, if you have to pee, you use a jerry can, a water container to do it. And if you need something bigger, you use a nylon bag. And we have 30 guys and around us 50 paratroopers. And it's a very narrow one. I don't know, it's maybe 3-4 meters wide and 20 meters long. And that's the way you fly. The first hour was a total disaster. We flew to the south for part of Israel, and then we landed to refuel the airplanes. And I felt that if it's going to be like that for the next 8 hours, when we get to Uganda, the airplane pilot opened the rear door, we just fell on the runway. The terrorists didn't want to shoot us. No, it's fun, but what's not fun? Anyway, we refueled in the south part of Israel, and over there, Yoni Netanyahu gave us a very short speech. We still remember it as young groups because the government will not approve it, but still it's a suicide mission. Because we are only 33, they are 100, we are better known, they have explosives, they will blow the building. We felt that maybe 50% of us will not come back. And he told us, look, we have a lot of information, just remember when we land over there, nothing will be as we planned it in advance. But you have to rush, first hit the terrorists, then make sure you protect the hostages, and don't worry for the rest. Something like that, very, very simple, but when you're a young group, it makes all order in your mind because you're already 24 hours and a lot of information is coming and contradicting information and confusing and very missing big parts which are still missing. Okay, so we took off again from that airfield towards Uganda. And after 1 or 2 hours, Yoni Netanyahu was sitting in the cockpit near the squadron leader. He came into the passenger's cabin, but the rear cabin, and he told us he was smiling. The government approved the operation. We were exhausted, so we did not respond, but we understood that now we are at a no return point because the fuel was one way. So after we crossed 4 hours, no way to go back. And the hours started to pass, and everyone started thinking his own thoughts. Then it became dark and out outside. As we flew nearby over Victoria Lake, there was a great thunderstorm. And then 20 minutes before landing, the pilots switched on some red lights at the rear cabin. You know, there was no to be blind when you go outside, and they rang the bell. And all of us started putting on all the ammunition and our equipment. And started getting prepared. We knew that we had a few minutes, and this would determine the result of the entire operation. Yoni Netanyahu, he was riding the first Mercedes, first seat. What he did just before landing, he went all the way from the far end of the airplane to us. We were sitting at the second one, and he shook hands with all the troops and just gave them a hug. each one just to give, I think it's an issue of a leadership, to be covered with the troops. But when I think about it now, it's like you know that he's going to die in 5 minutes. And playing farewell or something like that, you never know. And then he turned around, went on the way, get into the Mercedes, and we were sitting all of us, and the Hercules was going down, landing in the airfield. We looked through the windows and we saw that the lights are on. This was the good part. We did not know what to expect, and then it hit the ground and started running. Before even the airplane stopped, we already turned on the motor of the vehicles. We released all the hooks and everything. And as it got to the end of the runway, just put aside the main runway, because 10 minutes later, the other 3 Hercules were supposed to land. But in those 10 minutes, our mission was to go kill the terrorists, took the surprise, and then the rest of the troops are coming just to take over the entire airfield and to protect the city against the Ugandan troops. Airplane stopped, we rolled outside the airplane. I didn't know what to expect because for me and the rest of the guys, it was the first time in our life that we rode an airplane and having to go in Africa, lions, tigers, we don't know. But it was very quiet outside, very dark. I was trying to listen if the terrorists identified that we landed and they started shooting or killing the hostages. But it's completely silent, just dark. Very far, 1 mile ahead, we saw some lights, which we knew this is the old terminal where the hostages are supposed to be here. And Yoni Netanyahu started navigating our convoy. We slowed a little bit down, we loaded the machines, we put the first bullet into the barrel, and then immediately the convoy started to roll very, very fast. No talks, no commands, nothing. But everybody understood and knew what's going on and what should be done. We drove like that, and our field was very bad because behind us, we left the Hercules in the dark, the single one. We knew that we were in the middle of Africa, no fuel to come there. And the troops and 10 tourists waiting for us ahead, and we are on the street, very small teams. And I remember looking around and I didn't, my friends and myself, asking to myself, okay, who will be dead, who will be alive in 5 minutes? When we spoke after the operation, I became aware that I was not the only guy who was thinking that way. My friend thought the same. We didn't have too much time to hesitate because the lights of the Mercedes highlighted to Uganda's troops. But as we already were informed in advance on circulating the building, they tried to stop us, or they called us to order. And Yoni Netanyahu had a decision to make, and either to ignore it and drive, and take the risk that they shoot us, and we were sitting like ducks, exposed, very crowded like sardines. And if they shoot us and we lose, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 of us, that operation might fail before starting because anyway we've been too few. Or shoot them. He had a silencer. He decided to shoot them as we planned in advance. So the Mercedes pulled next to them. Everything during driving, and what I'm telling you now, we have to take a decision in 2 seconds. We have now time to talk about it. He shot them. Maybe hit one, maybe missed the other one. We shot the rest of the guys. And we continued to the terminal. Over there, we parked the cars a little bit earlier than expected there. And we just got off the cars and started walking very, very fast towards the terminal and towards the doors. The only instruction was that when we get here, we have to go fast, but don't run, in order not to miss the surprise, or we didn't want the terrorists to understand that we are Israeli troops. But anyway, we walked. Here it's very clear, but when we get there were a lot of boxes all around, and it's not clear as it is here. We got to the corner of this building, and here all of a sudden the officer, which was supposed now to take the lead and storm into the first door of the terminal, for some reason, he stopped here, started shooting the door from a distance. Again, it was a surprise for us, and we got stuck almost here. One of the troops from our team, when he got off the vehicle, he just fell on the ground. He said it because he was afraid, but I don't believe it. I just think that he was sitting 8 hours on the airplane with legs folded. So when you jump, and it's about 1 meter jump and you crash on the runway. He got up and he saw that we were already gone. So he said, oh, my colleagues are already in and I leave them behind, I must rush and go and help them. So he started running like hell along the runway here. We were stuck here in the corner, and he just bypassed us. As he came in front of the hostages hall, on the outside, the terrorists lying among the hostages, started shooting outside. And he saw the glasses being broken here from the bullets. Now, everything happened during running. So he was running from outside inside. He just lifted his assault rifle, shot 3 shots. Each one of them hit the terrorist. Now, if you ask him to do it on training 100 times, he will not hit the target. Because no way, when you're running and your enemy is a small target lying and it's dark, but that night, maybe Goldfinger, who knows? When he entered the hostages hall, it was like here, okay? Rushed in, got close to the terrorist, and make sure he's dead. And then he realized that he's the first guy in the hostages hall. And he was turning around, and the 2 German terrorists were about to shoot him in his back. And then our squad leader was the second one to arrive here, 2 or 3 seconds behind him. But 2 or 3 seconds, every second matters, and he kicked those 2s. And then the rest of the guys who entered the building, all in all, we killed 7 terrorists and more than 30 Ugandans. It's not our pleasure to kill, but in that mission, it's either us and the hostages or them. We take no risk, no mercy, nothing. It's the middle of Africa. I think after 2 minutes or so, the entire terrorists and Ugandans were dead. So that's a very short description of the battle. This is a photograph which I took 25 years later when we visited. You could see that this is the one terminal. This is, for example, the departure hall where the hostages were held in. This is the 2nd floor with the Ugandan troops. That's the control tower. Over there was very brave enemy, either Uganda or terrorists, we never know. But all along the operation, he shot us down. Some people think that they also managed to kill Yoni Netanyahu. Yoni was together with us. We stormed the building together as a team here in this area. And Yoni got killed here, few meters away from the hostages main door, main door. At the time, this is 25 years later, okay? All these plants were not there when we made the operation. Also, these trees which are growing from the building were not there at the time. But the general impression could be get from this photograph. That's when we are back. That's the famous Mercedes. We use also these small armor fighting vehicles. They came 10 minutes later and they started circulating the terminal, protecting us. Also, the Ugandan troops sent some troops coming from the capital town of Kampala. So they managed to block them. This guy, for example, is a psychiatrist, today a professor, researches on trauma, at the time of the doctor. Yoni Netanyahu, here I have the pleasure, he gave me a trophy. It's 2 weeks before the operation. Now, I don't think that such an operation is a one-man show. No chance, okay? It's a team job. But still, you have few people that are acting as pivot people. No question about it that Yoni was a major player and key success factor for this mission. We knew him very, very well because we served together for 1 year before the operation. It's really great pressure. We are there a few dozens of troops together with the unit commander going into the operation, so we know what's going on. And I cannot say that he was a perfect guy. But I do believe that the real measure for a commander is in the battlefield. In the office of training, it's nice, okay? But you show your capability under fire, and over there he was on top and beyond every other commander. He was very calm, very cool, very, very brave, demonstrated it. Michael has his own personal experience with Yoni in Yom Kippur War 3 years before. And I experienced it also in the telly with Yoni. And the pressure on his shoulders was tremendous. Because within the unit, as we got our 24-hour operations, we came and we asked him very tough questions because it was a crazy mission and we expected him to answer us, also the officers. On the other side, his commanders, the chief of staff, and everyone asking, are you sure that you could conduct the mission? And he said yes. So he had a tremendous pressure from top and from bottom. And he was a real Iceman in this operation. And I does not know if there's been the 33 of us together in front of the building, rushing into the building, and he's the one who got killed. So Yoni is, to my opinion, one of the heroes of this operation. Second one is late President Rabin. This is a photograph taken when we are back from Israel. So it's Rabin, and we are here back from the operation. It was a very tough decision that he has to take. He was a very smart guy, and he was very professional. He understood better than the commanders and the chief of staff the risk, and he grew all along his way in this arena. So it was a very heavy decision to be taken on his shoulders. We only had to obey instructions or orders, but he was the one to take responsibility. When he approved the operation, he told his secretary to prepare a resignation letter. Should there be more than 20 casualties, he's going to resign. I don't see today politicians taking decisions that would risk their own political position. But he did it because he felt that it's important for the state of Israel. Now, a few years ago, we freed 1,200 Palestinian terrorists against the actually single Israeli group. And our Prime Minister Netanyahu, who writes books, How You Should Fight Terror, and had many statements that we should never give up to terror, he also released a few years ago 100 Palestinian terrorists just in order to negotiate with Abu Mazen. Just in order to negotiate, he freed 100 terrorists, so he doesn't have to stop building the Judah and Samaria. So we wanted to see, sorry for saying so, but my assessment is that in order to secure his political position, he broke this rule. Prime Minister Rabin took a risk, decided not to release 53 terrorists, while putting risk of 100 more hostages, 250 Israel. Of Israel should not allow it to give up to terror. So, along the last 40 years, I've learned that there are people that talk nicely, but if you want to judge someone, judge him not only by talking, but also by doing. I'm about to finish, so hold on 5 minutes more, sorry. 25 years later, after the operation, we came back to Uganda. This is a photo taken at the bottom of the control tower. Again, this is on top of the control tower, and over there is the place where we stormed the time into the terminal. It left me with a lot of optimism for life, because When I came there, I was a bit afraid. I remember the previous visit, we kept half year ago. It's the 40th anniversary of the operation. And along the years, many stories came out, but out of the small squad of the kamikaze team that hit the old terminal, only one guy wrote his own book. And we felt, the rest of the groups, that the story which is told is not so accurate. Also, something that happened, we also we didn't like it at all, is that people started also to degrade Yoni portion in the operation. And it's again another interesting lesson that because people have some political arguments with Bibi Netanyahu, certain media, so instead of trying to degrade Bibi, they try to hit his brother Yoni. We have our own political opinions because among those things you have right wing, left wing, center, communists, I don't know. But it doesn't matter, we are all Israelis, and we felt that it's not fair, and the story of Yoni should be told as well. So we started collecting testimonies from the guys. I could tell you, I'm one of the organizers. I could tell you it was easier to convince the guys to fight on Twitter than to write your own story. And we felt, okay, we had been there 33 from the assault team and 30 more that joined that if we make 5 stories, it would be nice. We ended up with 35 personal stories. Each one was written isolated. I mean, I wasn't the one who collected the stories, but nobody knew what other people were writing. Very interesting, because some guys became chief of staff. One guy became head of Mossad, other people went in the high-tech sector. Everyone brings his own story, but also 40 years perspective. Interesting experience. Lastly, before I leave if you want to ask some questions, if I'm trying to conclude my own taking from this situation, firstly, the impossible is possible. For me, it's a lesson I took from my life. Secondly, if you're looking for the secret of success, you can never make a perfect planning. You can never do a perfect performance or operation. And if you have so many unknowns and so many people around, there are always mistakes, there are always gaps. But if you have a very, very good team, that team will manage to solve everything. And as long as people take initiatives, use their mind, take responsibility, they are not concerned about the excuses that they will have to provide. They are not concerned about the solicitors they will have to use later on. They just put their mind how to make or to achieve the operation. Then the spirit will the rest of the barriers. The slogan of our unit, we stole it from the British SAS. We call it who dares, who wins. I think it's a good example. It's not who gambles who wins, it's who dares who wins. You have to work hard to prepare your capabilities, and then at the moment it's true, it works. And lastly, as I told you, started as a French government responsibility. Terrorists from Greece government responsibility. Landed at Uganda government responsibility. But in the end of the day, Jewish people were taking hostages, and IDF troops came to rescue them. Thank you very much.
בתוך החדר? עכשיו הפסקה.
born. I traveled with Michael, we were a group of delegates going to the steering committee. It was in June, we were on our way to Omaha, Michael was sitting and reading a book. One book was he reading, was reading Ready to Song. And so he said, I don't know if we asked him what he was reading or he shared, and then he told the story. And then he started telling us when we were at the airport, we had a few hours in New York, he started sort of telling the story, his part of the story, which is very different than his brother-in-law's. And then we were in Omaha for a couple of days, and we made a presentation to the board in Omaha. And I whispered in Alan Potash's ear, he's the CEO of the federation there, and I whispered into his ear, why don't you ask Michael to tell his story? It's 40 years ago, Debbie, and he had a small part in it. And so totally by surprise, but Michael can never be surprised when he's asked to tell a story. Alan asked him to tell his story, and he did. And they were as taken as you are. This was a very different story. And then we decided together, Michael and I, that when we had the meeting here in January, that you would hear the story. And this was the end result. Thank you very, I want to say that personally, I came to Israel a couple of months later for the first time to stay. But part of the reason that I wanted to come to Israel was because of the story of Enka. I wanted to be part of that.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Well, first of all, it's so like for us Americans, Jewish Americans, everyone here remembers the day that we got started, where we were. Everyone remembers the night of life. And we're Jewish, so we always remember where we were when we also before. Yeah. Thank you for that. So anyway, my question is that you have to wait for TV movie the way I said. It seems to be like your exposure take on the movie.
Yeah, seriously, but joking, even among us, when we go 35 guys who want to book, we also have some arguments about the details. So for the external one to make a movie which is like reality, it's very difficult. So I think it gives the environment, and I mean, along the years, many movie makers met us and tried to talk to us. I mean, these are the guys that work hard, but in the end of the day, what they learned that they have to sell tickets, so they change the story. Just these days, another film is being taken in the island of Malta, in the Mediterranean, about the Anteberg. And this guy worked very hard, the filmer, so he came to Israel and he took even two of my friends as his advisors. And he flew them to Malta. And they tried to help him to make it as accurate as possible, but he made an effort, but in the other because he told him, look, the illumination is not right, or he doesn't have enough actors, professionals. So in his movie, they two guys that kill all the terrorists. While we split the job among us. Just an example. So I don't know if I'm answering, but if you enjoyed the movie, I think that's the most important. Good story is the important part. The rest is what really happened. I think it's less important.
Speaking of good stories, have the stories that are included in this book been translated into English?
Not yet, because we made it on a voluntarily basis. It's not easy, but we made it Hebrew. If we find one day someone is willing to sponsor the translation into English, we do it. It's a challenge because everyone wrote his own story in his own words, and we did not change it. We didn't touch anything. So it's very authentic. If, for example, I read the stories, I know who wrote every story, even if I don't see the guy's name. So, but anyway, someone should translate it into English, and we should be happy that it will be translated. If you, I don't know.
I think.
Just a comment, your last sentence of that when Jews are in need, was the idea that came to help. and it's so heartwarming, and it's gives such a sense of security to hear a sentence like that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And to tell you that at the time I was young, when I thought about it in all the years, we did not have any hesitation. I mean, we felt at the time when I was being young folks, it was almost a suicide mission. But then no one criticized it. There was no question now. It was very, very clear that it's right. So thank you very much. And we have one question.
First, thank you.
The gentleman asked about the fuel bed. So what happened when we came to our store? We landed over there, and the guys tried to refuel the airplanes from the initial plan was to rob fuel in the airport. But Michael, by the way, the story, he was at the time in nearby the state of Kenya, Nairobi. And General Barak was over there, and he managed to get a certain arrangement with the people in Kenya that we should refuel over there. Now, the rumors are that it is not that the guys in Kenya, that we already conducted the raid in Entebbe, and we are coming to refuel on our way home. Because otherwise they will operate with the hostile act against Uganda. The rumors that we heard at the time were that we told them that the airplanes are coming with 53 prisoners that the terrorists wants to be free. So we are on our way to Uganda. But anyway, what is it true? We didn't know nothing about it. Okay, we just know that on the Hercules we took off and we flew. And after 1 hour we are being told we are landing again. So we even did not remove our vests and uniforms and weapons because we felt that we were going maybe to rob fuel from another airfield. We didn't know if it's a hostile or not. And then we land in Nairobi, and the door open, and you see around the airplane also black guys, soldiers. But 1 hour ago they were enemies. They are not enemies. A bit confusing. And there also I met Michael and some other people that have been, and over there we flew and flew home.
When you were with passengers on the way home, then how
We've not been with the hostages together, because our first mission was to evacuate the hostages, which are civilians, as fast as possible from the airfield. So as we took over the whole terminal, we stayed there, protecting the terminal. We didn't know what's going on. We didn't know if the Ugandan troops will come, if there are more terrorists. So we just guarded the entire terminal. Some of my friends took the hostages outside. We just had to walk 100 meters or so. Some of them we got them lift with our cars. We put them on the Hercules, which was number 4. And they just, as I mentioned, after 15-20 minutes, they just took off and flew to Israel. And then on the ground, the Israeli armed forces, we think there were some 250 troops altogether. Our part in the old terminal, some troops took over the new terminal, some people protected the runway. And after the hostages were evacuated, then we started to fall back. But it takes some time, because until you leave, forces take time. So we left after 55 minutes. But we separated. So the hostages flew on the Hercules, they were very, very crowded there. And I don't know, once in a while I read some stories of interview with those people. Obviously they were shocked.
I can maybe just add on some small details. First of all, it should be clear that the circles that surround such an operation, the various levels are much, much wider than the activities that took place on the ground. All the planes took off from Entebbe and landed in Nairobi to refuel. There were wounded civilians, that were taken to private Kenyan hospitals, which needed securing, eventually enabling them to leave Kenya. You have to remember that some of the wounded were supported by Israeli military doctors and medics that arrived in Kenya with no papers, no passports, no nothing, and we had to get them out. Eventually, it's a very complex operation. There are many more levels of stories, but I believe they are for some other time. The complexity is huge, maybe a little intriguing, but the main issues are as were presented by Shlomi. And I can say that there are very few people who are fortunate to take part in such a unique happening, which has influenced so many people, but mainly showing the way it should be done to all of us.
Lunch is ready. We're invited to. There's very few things that are happening here at this for this next hour. First one is the lunch lunch is happening on this side. On this side, we have invited our friends from Good Space and LA who have a silk screening factory. They make beautiful scarves. Everybody's been talking about Michelle's scarf that she's been wearing. And so they have graciously come, so if anybody wants to make a purchase for gifts on your way home, they'll be providing that opportunity for you. Enjoy your break right now.